Hey, Wayne Fox in my cave here. Just working on some stuff on this old 386 compact here, and thought it'd be interesting to kind of share what I was doing. I jumped in way too early. I should have started this video a lot earlier because it would have shown what I was actually experiencing as far as the issue that I was having. So I was running the machine, and every once in a while it would sound like that there was a bearing issue in the hard drive. I was really concerned because this is a MFM hard drive. It doesn't use like an IDE connection. So if I wanted to put like a more modern SSD drive in there, I'd have to use something like the XT to IDE adapter, or, well, I'm not really even sure what other options I have. So, part of me wanted to keep it real authentic, keep it original with the hard drive. So I was really concerned because if I want to keep the original hard drive, it's going to be an adventure trying to find the exact specific hard drive for this system that it came with. So I guess back in the day they had types of hard drives. I've seen where you've had to actually enter in information specifically about the hard drive, and I guess as they kind of evolved to IDE, they kind of went through iterations, and this must have been the next iteration on the path where you just have to type in the type, and I guess the type already associated to the appropriate information, I guess like sectors and maybe capacity and whatnot. So yeah, so right here I have a type 35. We'll just flip the camera down here for a second. So it is a type 35 hard drive, full height, 5¼ inch, and it appears to be made by, what do we got here? Magnetic peripherals. So yeah, I mean, clearly this isn't going to be something that you're just going to go down to your local electronics store and pick up. Best Buy is not going to have these, so you're going to have to search on eBay. And the other thing too that really is interesting me here about the data on this hard drive, which I would have to get off before it would fail, and I should archive it regardless whether I get this working or not, is there was a lot of interesting information regarding like AI, I guess. BrainMaker, I think is the name of the application, and I might actually have to make another video on that if I didn't get that correct. So it's basically this software that can like analyze stock purchases and other types of data that you provide it. Couldn't find much information. I guess the site does exist. So what I want to do is I want to reach out to the company, see if they can identify what version I have, and see if they can actually provide some information as far as like software manuals, so I can actually try it out and compare it to like what we think of as modern day, which is like ChatGPT, large language models and things like that. So that'll be pretty exciting. So hopefully I'll have more projects to do with this machine. So yeah, other than that, let's get right into what we're having here. Okay, so what I did do was I disassembled the hard drive. I removed it from its chassis, and when I was hearing the sound, it sounded like it could be the bearing, as I mentioned originally. But then I noticed something interesting. This hard drive has this strap. I'm assuming this is something to do with static discharge. I read somewhere where older hard drives had an issue with the heads becoming magnetized, and that would cause issues with it maybe making connection with the platter, possibly. Not quite sure on that. But it appears that this rod would remove the static buildup off the heads or off the spindle and essentially discharge it into the chassis. And I thought, well, maybe this could be the culprit. Maybe this is where I'm hearing the whining noise, because when I heard it, it sounded so much like a bearing going, but it wasn't consistent. And I guess the other dead giveaway was when the hard drive was spinning down, even the noise sounded a bit more consistent, and I expected that to kind of spin down as the spindle was slowing down. The bearings were starting to, run in the race, and possibly, I don't know, I would think that the sound would kind of reduce. But at any point, sure, I took a look at this thing, and yeah, I mean, it didn't seem anything to be wrong with it. It seemed perfectly fine. So I spun the hard drive up, and then I took this little plastic adjuster, which I guess was originally designed for CRTs, and I placed it right on this metal piece, just slightly, just provided just enough pressure to see if adding the pressure would like change the pitch or the tone or whatnot. And sure enough, it did. So either there was too much pressure or there was too little pressure. Or a third consideration, which I also realized, is the alignment of where this piece is. Because if we were to look at this, there's a I want to almost say it's like a pad, something you'd see maybe in like a DC motor that touches the metal part of the spindle, and it was off centered. And I thought, well, if there's imbalance, if there's slightly more pressure off to one side, it might be causing some of the noise. So I loosened these two nuts, or these two screws, and then manually readjusted it. And so I fired it up, and initially, I'll have to say, it sounded pretty good. So, just to do a little more preventative maintenance, I have a little bottle here of deoxit, which I tend to use a lot for different things that have corrosion, whether they be the connectors like we have on these PCB boards, or if it's potentiometers and in radios and whatnot. And it does really good. It removes the oxidation, and I guess it puts like a thin coating on there, so it kind of helps. It helps with lubrication to a point. So I just added enough to get it on there, and I did notice there were some spots of maybe green, what I would have assumed to be maybe oxidation of the copper. If you ever saw a copper penny and it kind of gets the green on there as the chemical reaction occurs. I don't know if it was maybe some additional coating that I'm unfamiliar with that just happened to be a similar color, but I wiped it as much off as I could, and it seems to be good. I think the only other thing before I put this back together is I might just do a continuity test to make sure, like, yes, it is making connection. It's a solid connection to ground. And then if that's all good, I'll button this thing up, and then I think we're good for another, 30 years or so, hopefully. Longer than I'll be around. But, more so just enough to get this fired up, remove or back up the data that's on it, and, consider some other option. Even if I end up just keeping this in here just aesthetically, because the plate, as I was mentioning earlier with the type, it kind of completes the look and the finish and the originality of the system. So, regardless of what I do, whether it's going to be an XT to IDE or some kind of piece to replace the physical hard drive, I still want to maintain that look and feel. So yeah, I'm going to possibly jump cut here. We'll get this thing all buttoned up. We'll spin it up and we'll see if it makes a noise. Unfortunately, like I said, don't have the noise to show you initially, but, if we're not hearing noise when I'm spinning it up, I'll consider this a success. All right, we're back. So the hard drive's fully assembled. I got the plate back on. Everything's buttoned down. Looks good to me. Pretty happy. Double checked my connections. Always double check your connections, man. That's the one thing I'm always afraid of, is if I put a connection on backwards or it's not seated properly, and then that results in something negative happening. And, if we can avoid that, that's always a good thing. So let's fire it up and see what we hear. Hopefully it just sounds like a traditional spinning hard drive. And go. Looking good. So yeah, I guess we're about a minute in. Maybe I'm jumping the gun there, but yeah, usually at this point it's usually squealing and squawking, and sounds pretty good to me. So I think we're gonna go ahead and slide this back in the chassis, put the cover on, and then we'll give one more fire up with the monitor and everything attached. Here's hoping it continues to work. All right, looks like it's all back together. Monitor, keyboard, and system unit. We're good to go. The one thing I'm going to be looking for is the activity light, because we didn't see that initially when I did the spin up. Didn't have it connected to the hard drive controller, so that should happen now that we're connected. And then we'll do some just basic LS commands. I think it does a scan of the system. Very interesting system, the way it was set up, and you know, hopefully if anyone is watching this and wants to see more of this specific system, just leave a comment below, and we'll explore what's on the system and maybe some of the applications, and possibly even write some software for it. That's another interest of mine in the vintage and, well, modern computer industry. I enjoy working on old and new hardware and old and new software. It's a pretty fun endeavor, and you'll learn a lot about where we came from and where we're going. So here we go. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, good sign, good sign. Okay, let's do a directory. Yep, looking good. All right. Well, seems like we got a working machine now. Don't have any noise, and that's great. Hopefully you enjoyed the time and you enjoyed the video. Again, if you want to see more like this, more content like this, or have any questions about the process, add them in the comments and we'll go from there. So thanks for joining us, and hope to see you soon. Have a good one.